Hello and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for August of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening this month for you. Well, Taurus, Juno starts the month in Cancer, which is your third house. And Juno is a great indicator of how your social life is going to go this month, along with Venus, but Julia will tell you about Venus in a minute. So wherever Juno is, you want to think about how you can conduct your social life. And Juno is in the third house, which is terrific because Juno is a very social creature, and this is the house of communication. So there are two possible ways that this can go. One is if you're single, you may find that you want to do some networking this month and that you want to be having a lot of conversations and really checking in with all your peeps and just strengthening, your social networks by how frequently you connect with people. You may also want to be more social with your siblings and neighbors because that's what this house governs. Now, if you're married or in a committed relationship, even a business partnership, then this is a really great month to really look at communication with that person or people. And figure out what are the best ways to be in communication. What are the things that you need to be telling them, that you need to be hearing from them. And because Mercury is going to slow down and go retrograde this month, and Mercury rules the third house, there should be some challenges to face there. So hopefully Juno will help with that stuff. Juno is going to move into Leo, which is your fourth house, on the 15th. And will continue in Leo until mid-October. She usually spends a couple of months per house. And the fourth house is the domestic sphere. It's the realm of home and family, the home that you live in as an adult, and also the home and family of your childhood. So as you can see, it's a pretty full and busy house at this point in the month. I'll return to that thought later. And while Juno is traversing this house, is a really good time to work on your domestic relationship. If you have a partner, and whether you live with them or not, like if it's a co-parenting partner that you used to be married to but aren't anymore, this can equally apply because this is a house of, your very small children and the process of raising a family. So this is a really good month for checking in about all those things, getting them shipshape, really feeling masterful about them. And also having some fun, because while Juno is in Leo, is a great time to have fun with any and all partners and in your social situations too. Now, next thing I want to talk about is Uranus, and Uranus is over here in your first house. And you've probably been hearing me say this over the last couple of years because Uranus has been passing along through Taurus for several years already. And Uranus is a real change maker. Uranus really likes to break up old patterns and instill new ideas that can lead to new patterns, particularly patterns of thought, concepts, if you will. And in your first house, this is going to really shake you up, Taurus. Now, you may be wondering, if Uranus has been here for a couple of years, why am I mentioning it now? Well, that's because Uranus is going to go retrograde later this month. And this happens every year. And it happens usually a couple of days later every year. It sort of drifts from year to year. And when Uranus goes retrograde, let's see that happen. Here it is. The little red RX symbol means that Uranus is now retrograde. And when Uranus goes retrograde, he takes us on a yearly journey that lasts several months of the year and really will last through the end of the year now. To discover what new ideas do we need to incorporate? What sort of ripple effect are they going to have on our already established systems of thought? And for you in particular, Taurus, this could feel quite personal. It could be, your very concept of yourself or your concept of your boundaries, how you think about the ways you draw a line between yourself and other people and define yourself. And so Uranus is going to bring some new ideas and some big changes around those kinds of concepts when he goes retrograde, and then that'll kind of unspool over the course of the rest of the year. Now I want to talk about Ceres. Ceres is a planet that might well be near and dear to your heart. She's the largest asteroid in the asteroid belt, and she rules your sign of Taurus. And so she loves the same themes as Taurus: food, body, money, security, safety, the physical comforts, survival and handling survival, and finding your way to abundance. She is traveling through your 6th house, which is a great place to find Ceres because both Ceres and the 6th house share some themes around health. And they both also really like routines, having good, balanced routines that carry you through life, whether that's at work or at home. And so Ceres is helping you out with that stuff. And she'll be in this house finishing it out until mid-September. So it's always good to bring a sense of stewardship and caretaking to whatever domain Ceres is passing through. And this is the house in which we create order. It's the house in which we manage our health and our health practices. And it's the house of our workplace. So you can really show up as a good worker and a very stable and grounded person in your workplace while Ceres is passing through your 6th house. Hey, Julia, what's up with Venus, Mercury, and Mars for the Tauruses of the world?
Good question, Jamie. Hey there, Taurus. Let's start with Venus because she is your ruling planet after all. She's the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, all things near and dear to you. And our friend Venus starts the month retrograde. So this can be a personally frustrating time for the Tauruses of the world because this is your ruling planet. And when planets go retrograde, it's not necessarily the easiest time, but it's an invitation to review things in our lives so that it can actually help us to move forward in a lot of ways too, once we go backward. So I'll talk about what this will specifically be like for you. Venus starts the month retrograde in your 4th house. This is a house of family, home, and it rules your past. Now, since Venus retrogrades are a time of relationship review, you could be reviewing your current relationship in terms of how well you guys domesticate with each other. You know, whether your partner is someone you want to have a family with, is someone you want to build a nest with. These are all 4th house ideas. How well they fit in with your family, with your parents and your siblings. If you're currently single, then you might be thinking about your next partner in terms of these ideas. You know, maybe your last partner wasn't someone you wanted to have a family with, but now that's kind of more on your mind. Now, on August 13th, Venus is going to exactly conjoin the sun while retrograde. We call that relationship clarity day. So this is a time of insights and, you know, I'd say revelations into what I've been telling you. So this could be a very important time to keep track of next month because you might have some epiphanies into these matters. And since the 4th house also represents your deep past, and since Venus retrogrades can bring out our exes, somebody you dated a long time ago, maybe you even forgot about them, they may be coming to the surface now. So definitely be prepared for that. Now, Mercury, our friend that rules your mental world, you know, it's a planet of your intellect, your thoughts, your planning, your communication. He's also going to go retrograde later in the month. So we're definitely in a full retrograde season now. But before then, Mercury starts the month in your 5th house. This is the house that rules your children. It also rules fun, games, creativity, places of amusement, where you go to have fun, whether that's miniature golf, whether that's a festival this summer, or a bar, or wherever. And when Mercury is in this house, it means that your mind is preoccupied with fun and games. You're also thinking a lot about your children. Maybe with Venus retrograde in the 4th, Mercury in the 5th, you're really thinking, do I want to have children with this person? Really reviewing this. Should I go that family route? Or you could have increased communication with the children you already have. Now, by August 23rd, when Mercury goes retrograde, this might be a time of review of these matters in your life. You know, if you you are single, the fifth house also represents dating. So you could be going back on some of the people that you are currently dating. Maybe you were more sure about them earlier on this summer, and now with Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde in your fifth, you're kind of like, oh, I'm not sure I should jump into a commitment right away, which I would definitely advise you if you currently are dating. Give it a little time, see how the cards, see how they sort of play out in your life. You don't need to rush to anything right away. Finally, Mars, the planet that rules activity and drive, starts the month in your fifth house. Again, this is a house of children, dating, creativity, which means if you've got a creative side, Taurus, which being Venus ruled, you certainly may have, you might feel very energized by your creative projects, really wanting to throw yourself into something. It would be great if you're involved with a creative project that's a bit physical, like ceramic making, versus just being on a computer and using only your mind and not really getting your hands involved. Mars in the fifth can also make you a little bit more irritable towards your children. Maybe they're doing things to annoy you. Or if you're single and dating, maybe some of your dates do things to annoy you, which, that can sometimes happen. Then by August 27th, Mars enters your sixth house. This is a house of health. So the focus at the end of the month is going to be on your routines, your habits, even your workplace, as well as your health. And with Mars in the sixth, it can be a productive time at work for getting a lot of things done, but you can also run into flare-ups and frustrations on the job. And in terms of health, chronic issues you might already have might act up a little bit more by the end of the month. If you have difficult periods or holding on to iron or inflammation, or maybe you just catch a cold or something, Mars in the sixth can sort of bring these things up. But Mars can also give you the drive and the energy to put in good health routines, especially that address these concerns. So it's definitely not all bad. If something comes up, use it as an invitation to really put your drive into better routines to support your health in the long run.
Hi, Jamie here. Horoscopes and moon videos are fun, but they're also really general. Did you know we run live workshops monthly and that you can get questions answered about your own chart there? This month's topic is how to get passion and commitment in one blissful package. In this workshop, you'll discover your two different types, for love and for marriage, and how to resolve them in a single, passionate, and committed relationship. If you haven't found lifelong love yet, you might want to consider attending this. This workshop is expressly for our Tier 2 Patreon subscribers. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. I'd love to see you there. Now let's get back to the video. Well, I've got 3 moons to tell you about this month instead of just 2, beginning right away on the first of the month with a full moon in Aquarius, which lands right here in your 10th house, Taurus. And a full moon is a time when emotions can run high. The moon and the sun are opposed each other. It can present dynamics that play out in your relationships. For this particular moon, it might play out in group situations. We're calling this one Big Egos Disrupt Group Nourishment. There is a big theme of nourishment in this moon, with the moon itself being a chief nourisher and also forming a really lovely trine to Ceres, which is the other mother in the chart. And by the way, if your ears perked up when Julia said that Venus was your ruling planet, and I had just said that Ceres was your ruling planet, just know that in the zodiac, there are several signs that have dual rulerships because they have an ancient traditional rulership and also a modern one too. So they're actually both true. So Ceres is the other mother in the zodiac, and it trines the moon during this full moon, bringing a wonderfully nurturing feel. And then there's this group versus the self dynamic. And it wouldn't be surprising if there was somebody who has a big ego, and it might be you, or it might be somebody in your community who pops up under this moon right around the first of the month and just sort of makes themselves so big that they kind of suck all the air out of the room. Because the sun falls in your 4th house and the moon falls in your 10th house, you might also experience this in your home or in your workplace, or some combination of the two. With the sun landing in the 4th, it may be that big personality is some, domineering, perhaps temporarily domineering figure in your home. Might be you, might be a partner, might be a child who needs a lot of attention right now. And then it might be that you have to balance that with putting some attention on work. So let's see, the next moon is coming up on the 16th. This really is a lot of moons this month. And this is a new moon in Leo, which brings the attention right back to that fourth house of home and family, which is very full and busy at this point in the middle of the month. And a new moon brings new beginnings. It's a great time for planting seeds. This one is loaded with harmony, but with one particular piece of stress that's quite significant. And that is the square to Uranus. And I talked about Uranus earlier in this horoscope as a real disruptive influence, causing you to call into question some of your own boundaries and how you hold them, and your identity and your actions and how your actions define who you are. And so Uranus may be calling that stuff into question this month, and certainly during this moon, because it squares this moon precisely from its position at 23 degrees. So that could bring some of the disruptions around boundaries into your home life, into your relationships with family members. And so we're calling this one mending rifts, not making them. And there could absolutely be some rift making because of that stress with Uranus, but there's so much harmony with Chiron and the North Node and Vesta too, and the South Node as well, that really this moon bodes fair to end in a very sweet way, if not beginning like that. So then we have the third moon of the month, which is a full moon in Pisces, and that's happening on August 30th. And this one lands in your 11th house. The moon is accompanied by Saturn. And I want to say here that this is a blue moon, which is what we call it when there's a second full moon inside of a calendar month. It doesn't have any astrological significance. There's no interpretation of a blue moon that you could do that would be particularly meaningful. It's just kind of fun to know about, and you might find it in your farmer's almanac, for example. So this full moon pits the moon and Saturn against the sun in Virgo and places the moon at the focus of a very complex dynamic that we call a yod. And if you want to know more about it, you should definitely check out our forecast page this month, where you can watch the videos about all of the moons. And that's at our website, pandoraastrology.com. But suffice it to say that this moon is under pressure to establish boundaries, and that's what we're calling it. Moon in Pisces is not very good at creating boundaries in the first place, and this lands in your 11th house of groups and friends and tribe and community and networks. And Saturn is pushing for boundaries and integrity and adult behavior, whereas the moon is a little bit leaky. It's a little bit boundaryless. And so you may find yourself kind of under the gun, especially in your social contexts, among friends, among work acquaintances, perhaps, under pressure to put some boundaries into place that maybe you hadn't had there before. The last thing I want to tell you about is the seasonal change. And on August 23rd, the sun is going to change signs, but I want to show you the general migration of planets this month. That at the beginning of the month, there's a lot of activity going on in your fourth house, bringing your attention to the realms of home and family. And we've been talking about that a lot in this horoscope. And so that's where your attention is at the beginning of the month. However, by the time the sun moves on into your fifth house right here, there's been a big migration of planets over into your fifth house, and this becomes the area of preoccupation. So this is a house of play and games and fun and hobbies and all those things Julia was describing about Mercury and Mars here. And this is really where your attention wants to go as the sun moves on into your fifth house. Now, wherever the sun goes, we want to shine the light of our high quality attention. And this is a house of fun, and it's just a reminder that there is a season for everything. And sometimes the season is the season of fun and enjoyment and relaxation and pleasure and gaiety and delightfulness and ease. And also creativity. This is a really great house for doing creative projects. If you have hobbies or crafts that you like to do, this is a really great month for advancing projects like that. And you should absolutely be doing that for about the 30 days after August 23rd, while the sun is moving along through your 5th house.
Well, that's all for today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
You can find out so much more about how this month's transits affect you in very personal timing in our monthly Patreon workshops. Find the link in the description below to get started. Enjoy your summer, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.